Have you ever felt lonely and wondered how to maintain happiness in your 70s or 80s? It's not a question people often voice, but many older adults quietly wrestle with it every day. As time passes, life changes. People move away, loved ones pass on, relationships fade, and eventually you might find yourself surrounded by time and space with plenty of quiet but little company. However, being alone doesn't have to mean feeling unhappy. In fact, many discover greater peace, resilience, and even joy in their solitude than they ever imagined possible. This video will introduce 5 meaningful strategies designed to help older adults feel truly happy on their own, especially if close friendships or regular social connections are scarce. These aren't just quick fixes to get through the day. They represent deep, transformative shifts that can bring comfort, insight, and a sense of lightness back into your life. Each of the 5 strategies is grounded in emotional wisdom, psychological understanding, and relatable everyday examples, offering not only practical advice, but also explanations for why they work. Whether you have recently found yourself alone or have been for a while, there's something here that could change your perspective on this stage of life. Be sure to watch until the end, because the final ideas may not only uplift your mood, but also completely transform how you view solitude from now on. Let's dive in and begin this journey together. Guide number 1, establishing a meaningful daily routine. One of the most effective ways to find happiness when living alone is by developing a daily routine that brings structure, comfort, and a sense of purpose to your life. When you're younger, your schedule is often dictated by external demands, work, children, appointments, and various obligations. But in later years, especially if you're living alone, you might wake up to a day where no one is waiting for you or expecting anything from you. This open-endedness can quietly drain your energy if you don't consciously shape your time. Having a routine doesn't mean your day needs to be jam-packed. Instead, it's about waking up with a clear idea of what's coming next. Maybe you begin your mornings with a warm cup of coffee while sitting quietly by a sunny window. Perhaps you take a short walk after lunch or do gentle stretching before dinner. These small, repeated actions create a steady rhythm, and rhythm brings a calming stability. Just like music relies on a beat, life feels more balanced and grounded when your day follows a predictable flow, even if you are the only one involved. Knowing what's next helps you move from feeling aimless or stuck to progressing with quiet intention. Importantly, a routine doesn't mean every moment must be productive. On the contrary, some of the most fulfilling routines include rest, like taking a midday nap, reading a favorite book, or caring for plants. The aim isn't to fill your time as if plugging holes, but to treat your day with respect and significance, because it truly matters. There's also a strong psychological advantage in designing your own schedule. It restores your sense of control. When you decide how to spend your time, even in small ways, you affirm, "This is my life, and I am still in charge." This feeling of ownership improves your mood and self-esteem, especially during a phase of life when outside demands may be minimal. Take Harold, 76, for example. Every morning he writes down 3 things to guide his day: 1 task, 1 treat, and 1 thought. The task might be something simple like folding laundry, the treat could be a walk while listening to music, and the thought might be an inspiring quote or a feeling. This quiet habit prevents his days from blending together and gives him a reason to get up and smile. When living alone, the challenge isn't just boredom, it's the risk of feeling like your days don't matter. But they do. Creating a daily routine, no matter how small, is one of the most powerful ways to remind yourself of that. You don't need a crowd to experience your life unfolding. You just need rhythm and a bit of intention. Guide number 2, cultivating emotional self-reliance. As you grow older, particularly if you're navigating life on your own, one of the most empowering skills you can develop is emotional self-reliance. This means becoming your own steady source of comfort, reassurance, and support, especially during the quiet moments that can feel more like silence than peace. There are times when the stillness of being alone feels especially heavy. Maybe it's returning to an empty home, or feeling the urge to share a joke, a memory, or even a frustration, but finding no one there to listen. In these moments, emotional self-reliance isn't just helpful, it's vital. But let's be clear, emotional self-reliance is not about denying your need for connection. It's not about becoming emotionally numb or pretending you're fine when you're not. Rather, it's about learning to soothe, understand, and care for yourself in the absence of others. It means becoming the kind, patient voice that you might once have looked for in a partner, friend, or sibling. Many older adults were never taught this skill. The messages of past generations often encourage pushing through pain, staying strong, and keeping emotions tucked away. But later life opens the door to a gentler way of being, one that invites listening inward and responding with compassion. Start with your inner dialogue. Notice how you talk to yourself when something goes wrong or when you feel low. Are you critical, dismissive, or unkind? Developing emotional self-reliance begins by softening that voice. Try speaking to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a close friend. Say things like, "I did my best today. It's okay to feel like this." Or simply, "I'm here for me." It might feel unfamiliar at first, but over time, this inner kindness becomes a foundation of strength. Think back to when you may have leaned on someone else for comfort, a spouse, a close friend, a parent. Those people may no longer be in your daily life, or they may be gone altogether. But you can still create that nurturing presence within yourself. It's about recognizing your needs and meeting them with patience and grace. Carol, 81, practices this every evening through a simple ritual she calls her evening check-in. She keeps a small journal by her bedside and writes a short reflection before bed. Sometimes it's a full page. Other nights, just a line like, "I felt lonely at dinner, but I'm proud I made something warm and sat at the table." No one else reads it, but for Carol, it's a way to feel acknowledged, and sometimes that's all we need, to be seen, even if only by ourselves. Another powerful method to build emotional self-reliance is through mindful breathing and stillness. When strong emotions like sadness or anxiety arise, take a moment to pause and breathe deeply. This simple act tells your body, "We're safe," and gives your mind time to process rather than react. Over time, these small practices become reliable tools you can turn to in moments of grief, restlessness, or emotional uncertainty. It's also crucial to let go of the idea that feeling lonely means something is wrong with you. Loneliness isn't a failure. It's part of being human. Emotional self-reliance doesn't ask you to eliminate that feeling, but to sit with it for a moment and gently guide yourself back to calm, like placing steady hands on the steering wheel of your life. And here's the beauty of it. When you learn to meet your emotional needs, you stop relying on external factors to feel okay. You still welcome connection when it arrives, but your peace doesn't depend on it. That's not loneliness. It's emotional resilience. It's a quiet, powerful strength that carries you forward. Guide number 3, discovering joy through small sensory pleasures. As we grow older and live more independently, happiness may not come from grand achievements or exciting events. More often, it emerges from the simplest of things, quiet, sensory moments that gently enrich our days. These tiny experiences, though easy to overlook, can become powerful sources of joy when you're living alone. Think of the sunlight resting on your hands as it pours through the window, or the familiar aroma of something simmering on the stove. Maybe it's the soft hum of music playing in the background, a song from your youth that evokes warm memories. These are small sensory pleasures, touch, taste, smell, sound, and sight, that offer comfort, calm, and connection to the present moment. When you're not surrounded by daily interactions or the constant activity of others, you have a unique opportunity to slow down and become more attuned to your surroundings. That morning cup of tea in your favorite mug becomes more than a beverage. It's a moment of warmth and grounding. The blanket you wrap around your legs as you settle into a film isn't just keeping you warm. It's offering a sense of security and care. Engaging with your senses like this has a deep psychological benefit. Sensory experiences help anchor you in the present. And in later life, especially when you're on your own, the present moment can feel like a vital anchor, a way to pull your attention away from past regrets or future worries and settle into now. A cool breeze on your skin, the sound of birds outside your window, or the scent of fresh laundry can bring an immediate, soothing clarity. Try embracing this in your own life. Light a candle before dinner, even if you're eating alone. Wrap yourself in freshly dried clothes and enjoy the warmth. Put on a favorite song from years ago and let yourself move with the music. Sway, or just listen closely. These aren't frivolous actions. They are ways of telling yourself, I am still here. I still matter. Take Ralph, for instance. He's 84, and every afternoon he sits by his window and slowly peels an orange. The scent takes him back to his childhood home, and the tangy sweetness reminds him of summer days when he was young. It's a quiet, daily tradition that connects him with memory, with comfort, and with joy. He doesn't rush through it. For Ralph, that orange is a ritual, a small but powerful gesture that grounds him in the world. Touch, in particular, holds a special kind of emotional power. It's a deeply human need to experience physical comfort, and when you're alone, it's easy to forget how much it matters. That's why so many people naturally touch soft surfaces, wrap up in thick blankets, or simply rest their hands in their lap. It's self-soothing. You can consciously create more of that kind of comfort. Take warm baths, apply lotion slowly and thoughtfully, or stroke the fur of a pet. Each of these actions speaks to a part of you that still craves affection, even if it comes from your own hands. Taste is another pathway to emotional richness. When you're living alone, it's tempting to eat simply to stay fed. But preparing something you enjoy, then slowing down to taste it, can be a form of self-care and even self-respect. It doesn't have to be elaborate. A piece of toast with butter, a bite of dark chocolate, or a well-seasoned soup can all become miniature celebrations of life. They're small reminders that pleasure, joy, and care are still available to you. The essence of this guide lies in one essential truth. Your life is still full of sensation. Even in solitude, your world continues to offer beauty and presence, if you learn to notice it. The flutter of a curtain in the breeze, the texture of a favorite teacup, the scent of clean sheets, or the crackle of a digital fireplace. All of these are moments of real, tangible experience. They don't rely on anyone else. They're yours entirely. By learning to pay attention to and savor these little gifts, you create a kind of emotional connection, not just with yourself, but with life itself. That relationship between you and your surroundings can be as nurturing and enriching as any conversation. In fact, it transforms silence into something sacred. For those living alone, that change, from emptiness to appreciation, can be life-changing. These sensory pleasures won't just help you pass the time, they'll remind you that joy is still here, quietly waiting to be noticed. Guide number 4, creating connection through subtle engagement. Living alone, especially in later years, can sometimes lead to a sense of disconnection, as if the world is continuing without you. You may not have close friends nearby or daily conversations to anchor your sense of community, but genuine connection doesn't always have to come from long talks or frequent visits. Some of the most meaningful connections arise from quiet, everyday interactions, moments that remind you you're still part of something larger. When you're alone, it's easy to feel invisible. You might go to the grocery store and feel like no one notices you, or sit on a park bench and not have a single person greet you. But here's something essential to remember. Being acknowledged doesn't always require someone to know your story. A shared smile, a nod of recognition, or a brief moment of eye contact can all gently reaffirm your place in the world. Start small. On your daily walk, make it a habit to greet those you pass. Say good morning, offer a smile, or meet their eyes kindly. You may not speak beyond that or even see them again, but these simple gestures affirm your presence and theirs. It's a quiet way of saying, we're both here, and that matters. There are also subtle ways to contribute that help you feel part of a wider web, even if no one directly sees what you're doing. Dennis, a 79-year-old man, slips handwritten notes into library books. Nothing elaborate, just a few words like, "This story made me laugh. I hope it does the same for you." Or, "You're not alone. Keep going." He'll never meet the people who read his messages, but in writing them, he feels woven into a chain of shared encouragement and unseen connection. Volunteering, even in small ways, can also foster a deep sense of connection. Some older adults read books to children over the phone. Others knit blankets for hospital patients or write letters to those in hospice care. You don't need to be extroverted or energetic. Just your quiet participation is enough. It says, I still have something to offer, and that truth becomes deeply grounding. Technology, too, can provide subtle opportunities for engagement. You may not want to dive into social media, but there are forums, discussion groups, and comment sections where people your age share their thoughts and experiences. You can read, respond, or simply follow along. And even that can remind you you're not alone in how you feel. Sending birthday cards to neighbors, leaving thoughtful reviews for local businesses, or even sharing kind comments on online videos or articles. These are all modern forms of connection, small but meaningful. Over time, these tiny efforts send a ripple into the world, and often that warmth circles back. The most important part of this guide is understanding where your energy is going. Rather than withdrawing inward and closing yourself off, you are gently extending yourself outward. Not loudly, not with grand gestures, but with steady, consistent acts of attention and care. You're saying to the world, I may live alone, but I am still connected. And remarkably, the world tends to respond. Think about the last time a stranger did something kind for you. Maybe they held a door open, gave a compliment, or helped with a small task. Even though it was fleeting, chances are it stayed with you. You have the power to offer that same feeling to someone else. And in doing so, you deepen your own sense of belonging. There's also great comfort in simply occupying shared spaces. You don't have to speak to anyone. Just being present at a cafe, a local garden, a library, or a museum can help you feel reconnected to the rhythm of community. You're not on the outside looking in. You're part of it, even if it's quiet and solo. And here's a beautiful truth. The world needs people like you. People who see the small things, who appreciate subtle beauty, who smile simply because they can. Your steady presence and quiet kindness add meaning to the world around you. Even in solitude, your life radiates outward. Through every small, intentional act of care, you don't have to wait for others to reach out first. You have the ability to begin the ripple effect. With each thoughtful gesture, you strengthen your connection to others and to the world itself. One quiet wave at a time, you affirm that you are still here, still part of something bigger, and still contributing, simply by being you. Guide number 5. Keeping your mind engaged through curiosity and lifelong learning. As the busyness of social life slows and solitude becomes more common, one of the most powerful ways to maintain happiness is by keeping your mind stimulated, not simply with entertainment or noise, but with genuine curiosity, wonder, and a desire to keep learning. Even in later years, you are still a part of the vast evolving world, and your mind still holds the remarkable capacity to grow, question, and discover. There's a widely held belief that after a certain age, our brains start to shut down and that the period for learning and expanding is over. But both science and real-life experiences show that this couldn't be further from the truth. As long as you're alive, your brain can form new connections, absorb new knowledge, and uncover fresh insights. In fact, many older adults who report feeling fulfilled and mentally vibrant are those who never stopped exploring new ideas, even as life around them became quieter. Lifelong learning doesn't mean you need to enroll in formal classes or take on a daunting project. It's about allowing novelty and growth into your life in small, manageable ways. That could mean picking up a book in a genre you've never read before, watching a documentary on a subject you know little about, or trying out a new recipe with unfamiliar ingredients. Even something as simple as listening to a thought-provoking podcast while doing chores can spark a new idea or shift your perspective. Take Frank, 82, for example. He had never held a paintbrush in his life, but one afternoon he passed an art supply store and decided on a whim to buy a beginner's watercolor set. Now he paints regularly, not because he's producing gallery-worthy pieces, but because each brushstroke helps him see the world differently. Through painting, he's learning patience, creativity, and how to appreciate color and detail. He says it's not the outcome that matters, but the process of discovering something new that gives his days meaning. Keeping your mind curious transforms your inner world. Life stops feeling like it's winding down and instead starts to expand again. You begin to notice more, to connect the dots between past experiences and new insights. That sense of mental movement, however gentle, can be incredibly effective in guarding against feelings of isolation, boredom, or hopelessness. Another beautiful benefit of continuous learning is how it strengthens your relationship with yourself. Every time you engage with something new, you're telling yourself, I still care, I still have questions, I still want to grow. That's a powerful affirmation, especially in a phase of life when it's easy to feel overlooked or underestimated. And learning doesn't need to be academic, far from it. Tending a garden, observing birds outside your window, picking up a new spiritual practice, or writing down your personal memories and stories are all forms of learning. Each activity teaches, enriches, and deepens your understanding of life and of yourself. Keeping your mind active also supports your physical and emotional well-being. Studies consistently show that older adults who stay mentally engaged have better memory retention, clearer thinking, and greater emotional resilience. But this isn't about solving math puzzles or memorizing facts. It's about staying curious, about life, about others, and about yourself. Think back to the last time you learned something unexpected. Maybe it was a historical fact in a documentary, a cooking tip from a neighbor, or an insight from a mistake you made. That small flicker of curiosity, that moment when you said, I didn't know that, is what brings a sense of vitality and youthfulness to your spirit. And the more you nurture that spark, the more alive you'll feel, even in the stillness of your own home. In this quiet season of life, you have a meaningful choice. You can let your mind shrink into routine and silence, or you can let it stretch, gently, freely, with wonder. One path offers calm and growth. The other may lead to stagnation and disconnection. The difference lies in small decisions, choosing to pick up the book, turn on the program, ask a question, or write a memory. Whether you're working on a jigsaw puzzle, studying a new language, exploring your spiritual side, or revisiting the story of your own life through journaling, keeping your mind curious will not only bring you joy, it will offer companionship. It gives shape, purpose, and meaning to your days, even in the quietest hours. Because happiness in solitude isn't about avoiding silence. It's about paying attention to the richness within it. It comes from the discovery that even now, there's still so much to learn. And sometimes the smallest new insight can change how you see the world, or even how you see yourself. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share one insight you gained and how you might apply it in your own life by leaving a comment below. Your feedback means a lot and truly encourages us. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others. Your support allows us to keep creating meaningful, uplifting content. We appreciate you being here and look forward to having you join us again in the next video.